Hello YouTube. Just wanted to do a little comparison today on the 4-mix, being the one on the right, and the traditional 2-stroke motor, the one on the left. There's a lot of talk out there today about, what should I buy, what should I get, what's better, what's more delicate. Well, I'm going to do my best to sum that up. 4-mix motor is basically the design of a 4-stroke without the oil. It runs on 2-stroke gas. So you have the luxury of using the same gas mix as a traditional 2-stroke, but the torque of a 4-stroke. So here's the only problem that I've ever had with it. There's no in-between between idle and full throttle. It's either everything it's got or it's idling. In the middle, it kind of burbles and pops, spitters, farts. I'm not saying it doesn't run good, it's how it is. It kind of dies. So, I'll be full throttle, or, and I'll get around like a wall or like some brick or, a flower bed, for example, and start letting off of it a little bit, and it just kind of dies. So I noticed myself doing a lot of this. I'll go to start it, and I'll be full throttle on something, and then I'll find myself doing a lot of this, just feathering it, revving it, which isn't really a bad thing for the motor, but it's not particularly good either. The reason I have to do that is to keep it at a certain, keep the RPM and the cutter head at the general same speed, but at the same time not full throttle to where it's just going to take everything out. Whereas a traditional 2-stroke motor is a lot smoother. Now, granted, they don't have the torque. Now, as you can see, so I can show you exactly what I'm comparing, I'm comparing a 2014 model of the FS90R, 2008 model of the FS80R. The FS80R has a 25.4 cc engine with 1.2 horsepower, weighs just over 10 pounds. Basically, it is a little bit older version of the brand new FS94R. The weight is identical, the horsepower is identical, the engine, I think, is pretty much the exact same size. It might be a little smaller with today's technology, but other than that, you're looking at basically an FS94R, just a little bit older. This FS90R has a 28 cc engine, I do believe. Double check real quick. Yeah, 28 cc, so it's a little bit bigger. Like I said before, it's a 4-mix engine. It is undeniably heavier. So that weighing just over 10 pounds without the cutter head, this weighs almost 13 without the cutter head. So with the cutter head and stuff, you're looking, with gas, 15 pounds. Give or take. This, you're going to look at about 12. Well, 3 pounds, what's that difference? Well, I have a lawn care business, and I also live in the country, so I'm cutting 8 acres with 2 to 3 hours worth of trimming, just in my house, let alone the lawn care. So yeah, if you're running these all day, I could come home after a long day, and just based on how sore I am, I could cover up the numbers, and I could tell you which one I ran, because after a long day's work, the 90R would take a much bigger toll on you, which is why I normally take both, and I'll jump back and forth between the two, because there's some things that traditional 2-stroke is, a lot smoother for, edging or a flower bed, or just regular trimming in general around tree where you don't want to break bark, or you don't want to, kick up stones, so like if you're in a ditch or something like that. Point blank, they're just a lot smoother. So yeah, in order to get the 1.2 horsepower, you have to be full throttle. I get that. But no matter where you run it, it's smooth. Now, I'll start both of these, and it'll be a true cold start on both of them. I'll show you here at the end. But basically, it's just a lot smoother. But at the same time, the 4 mix motors have a lot more torque. I also have up there on the shelf, and I'll do a review on the other 2 trimmers later. I have a 135 degree hedge trimmer attachment, and I also have a pole pruner. I run those only on the 90R because of the torque it has. You cannot stop that engine. You go full throttle on that engine, even though it's only 28 cc's, you're not going to stop it. If I had to pick a favorite, I don't know if I really could. Now, here's why. If you are a professional, if you are in it, you know, commercially, and you run trimmers all the time, I think you gotta have both. You don't necessarily have to. You could stick with just traditional 2-stroke, but landscapers, at least in my area and around here, absolutely live and die for these 4 mix motors. They are so much more torquey and powerful. You know, maybe not total horsepower, like when you get into an FS, you know, 240 or 250, but just the raw torque of these things is insane. They will literally cut through anything. But it's the smoothness that makes me never want to get rid of a true 2-stroke. So, like I said, each one has its purpose. You know, each one is good for certain things. Each one is good for, you know, this is good for just regular trimming. This is good for cutting anything in sight, you know, more rough cutting and running different tools. This is pretty much just for trimming. At least that's my take on it. That's my personal opinion. You know, so if you're a little confused, I hope that's going to clear it up for you. You know, today's new current model on the 90R is an FS91R. Basically what they did is they converted all their, you know, plastics. They put a different choke system on it, a little different gearbox to it. They just added a couple neat little features and stuff, but it's the exact same motor. Pretty much the same carb, muffler, all that. The good stuff, the inside stuff, is the same. It's the outside that they changed up a little, which, whatever, companies do that. And this is basically the older version of a brand new FS94R. So, you know, if you're a little, you know, back and forth, basically it's up to you what you're doing. If you're doing nothing but trimming, go traditional 2-stroke. You can't go wrong, basically. If you go traditional 2-stroke, you cannot go wrong with, you know, just trimming. I said that backwards. If you're doing just trimming, you can't go wrong with a true 2-stroke. So, you know, look at what you're going to be doing and using with it too. Don't just go buy one for the power or for the weight. You know, if you know you're going to be running a lot of attachments, you know you're going to be doing a lot of rough cutting and thick cutting where you need torque, go 4 mix. I mean, they're taking over the market and they're doing it for a reason. You know, I personally think Stihl is the best, but, you know, that's another personal opinion of mine. But it is what it is. And get a little bit better look at them here. So yeah, basically, look at what you're going to be using with it. He's a lot more wide open, torque, a lot more feathery, good for trimming. So that's up to you. So I will do my best to start these with one hand. I'll go 4 mix first. 4 mix motor is predominantly and much more louder off the start. I will say that. Make sure the air is out. We'll prime each. We'll go 4 times. And then all you have to do is, on these little bit older 4MIX, just pull at the choke, and then as soon as you hit the throttle, it'll come off. No, take that back. That's the newer ones. My bad. So, on the newer ones, that's what they changed on the newer ones, too. Whenever you hit the throttle, instead of it moving this, it'll actually move this whole system back. That's, like I said, that's something new they came up with. The older ones don't have that. That's my bad. But we'll go ahead and give her a tug here. The older ones, you have to manually move the choke once you start it. The newer ones, as soon as you hit the throttle, gets rid of that. Now, as you can see, I tried giving it about half throttle. It doesn't really like it half throttle. You punch it and you get to full throttle. That's where it likes to be. But you try just feathering it, quarter, half throttle. It doesn't really like it too much. So that's the 90. Come over here. The 80. This is a much older style. True traditional, you gotta move the choke inside style. But the new 94R, they put it's like a wheel up here, and instead of this being like a switch, it's just a button. So you'll push it down to stop it, and then as soon as the engine stops and you let go of the button, it's automatically back to on. And then, like I said, there's a little wheel here, and it limits how much throttle you can give it. You have it full tilt. You can go full throttle, but if you're doing around a flower bed, and maybe it's on a hill, and you don't want to, step on something, and you step on something, natural reaction. A lot of time, if you're running it here, you step on something, you might grab it. You don't want to screw up what you're doing with your work either. So, I think it's a neat feature, but, like I said, obviously don't have it here, I can't show you, but, that's pretty neat too. So, I'm going to do the same thing here. We'll do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Choke. And I've never started either of these with one hand, so I apologize for the probably poor quality. That one took 2 pulls to start. Now, as you can see, I pretty much tried to do the same thing there. I tried giving it, half throttle, as you could tell. Hopefully the quality's good, but as you could tell, a lot smoother giving it, mid-range throttle as opposed to that where it didn't like it very much. So basically, all I'm trying to get at is me being a landscaper and professional, with lawn care and cutting yards all the time. I need both. I use both every day, but look what you're doing. Like I said, you're doing just trimming. Go 2-stroke. You'll be happy with it. You can't go wrong. You're doing a lot more heavy duty where you need the torque. It's a lot more open area stuff. A lot more, full throttle torque, or if you're running, gearbox attachments, like they have all different ones, a hedge trimmer, a pole pruner, a tiller or an edger, something like that, go the 4MIX. That's about it. I hope it was helpful. Have a good day.